Maybe it's pretty dumb to buy a car that won't even stay in gear. I remember that so well.
Who said?
Ronald was kind of disgusted that he bought a car that wouldn't even stay in gear without a piece of wood up there between it and the dashboard. But that car got us around a lot. The only thing the only thing I didn't like about that car was that people 2 or 3 miles away could always hear us coming. You remember how loud that car was, right?
Irene bought, what was hers? A Durant.
A Durant. Yes, a 2 beige and dark brown Durant.
Remember the first time I ever saw Raleigh? First time I saw Raleigh, he was moving that house up. Moving that house up.
Oh, and Irene's house.
Irene.
Came up the road, he and John Hershey.
You know, John's wife died, Laura.
I didn't know that.
Huh?
John's wife died here this last spring.
John Hershey.
John was just kind of,
Devastated.
well, Hal is, of course, he was criticizing what he was doing, giving away a lot of stuff and selling things real cheap. And
Did they have children with her?
she had 2 miscarriages, or 1 tubal pregnancy and surgery.
He doesn't say anymore about the sunbathing.
And he's gained quite a little weight.
What was unusual about Raleigh that you remember your first meeting?
They were coming up the road, the first time I ever saw Raleigh, they were moving that house was the town. That little house coming up the road with John Hershey.
With horses?
No, he had a tractor on it.
Did they bring it down to our house?
Brought it all the way from the ranch and set it down there. By the house.
What did they do?
Huh?
By our place?
Yeah. Set it right down there, right to the windmill.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the potato chip cruise, yeah.
We remember the
When
afternoon.
Pat and I came back from Washington, we lived in that summer. Do you remember? You and Mary and I.
Do I remember? Let me tell you what I remember about that little house. Mother one day said, Pat and Mary, wouldn't you like to make some candy this afternoon? And she said, now here are the recipe books. So we went out in that kitchen and we goofed it up. So we started putting every spice in the kitchen in that pot of candy. Until it just got so we couldn't stand it. And Mother came home, and we made a terrible mess in the kitchen, and Mother came home so disappointed that we do such a thing. We lost our self-control. We got carried away. And we got every spice box out. And of course we made the worst mess imaginable, the rosary. And also I remember that place was full of Millers. Mother, do you remember all the Millers in that place?
Oh, do I ever. When we first, of course, it had been closed up for several weeks.
She gave you a table. Oh, we are fine. Let's put that in there and stir. See, if we put 3...
Here, give him these teaspoons and then he can do it his way.
It's already...
Oh.
It's given... I said put 1 tablespoon in it.
You taste it now.
Yeah, taste it. You might need a half a teaspoon.
Looks like it, doesn't it? I take that once in a while, Joe. It's supposed to. Joe, would you please pass the cake to Bill?
I think it'll be all right. Right?
Would you want some cake, Bill? How about some cherries? Want some cherries? Okay. Uncle Bill, Rodney's father never owned a car.
There you go. Now you got 3.
And when Rod moved after he was out of college and he moved to Los Angeles, he and several friends rented a small apartment and lived there, and they all had their... Rod worked for Sears for a while. These other... Well, some of them were trying to break into acting, some of his friends. Anyway, after about a year, he decided he needed a car, so he went out to a car agency, and he bought a car, and then he called his friend and said, would you please take the bus out here and drive my car home? He didn't know how to drive it. 24 years of age and had never driven.
Bill hadn't driven a car till he was 24.
Really?
No.
When I first rode with Rod, I was a nervous wreck. I didn't like the way he drove at all. He's a very good driver now.
I never drove a car till we bought that Ford.
Mother's Ford?
No. Oh, yeah, wasn't that Model A yours originally?
No,
Where did you get it? It was
Oh,
Ethel.
wait a minute, we had
I
to-
guess it was.
Model A was Ethel's, and she bought the V8.
Oh,
and
yeah,
then-
that's right.
And then later sold us the V8.
I know, didn't
My friend painted a picture of that model. That coupe.
That's a pretty cute picture, isn't that cute? Yeah, that snap that I
Yeah,
had.
Grandpa with his beard after he burned his face
Mhm.
from the pressure cooker. I was the one that opened the door at the doctor's office, you know, and saw my grandpa there with a bright red face,
Oh.
just spongy looking. And I just kind of ran away in fear.
watercolor that she took and did of him, and the face is right. His body isn't quite big enough, but she got a good do on the face. And when she brought that picture to me, we were teaching together. She's an art teacher. She set it up on the blackboard, and all day it was like Dad was there watching me teach. I was nervous all day long. Because there sat there, and I even said to the kids, my father was a teacher, and he's watching me teach today. There was. No, I was...
How did he look? Was he smiling? Or was he...
Yeah, it was just,
Well, he had lost quite a lot of weight, but I suppose his shoulders weren't big enough. Yeah, but because he got awfully thin before he
was thin,
died.
but not as thin as the picture
No,
shows.
He had a fairly big frame.
Pretty
Yeah.
good. Yeah,
He had on that, once he had his picture taken with my derby hat
that's
on.
one.
That was the
it
one.
is. That's the
About
one
only
she did.
derby hat west of the Missouri.
That's the
We walked
picture
in,
she
we
did.
went up to Rapid City one time.
He told me.
Yeah.
I had that dark overcoat and all with, it was kind of nice.
Double-breasted.
Yeah.
Stories over
And I had that doggone derby hat on. We walked into Blue Handles. A guy came up to wait on us, and he said he'd call the manager.
Oh, my God.
He said, what, Bill?
He called the manager, and I did wait on us.
Two gentlemen customers suddenly in the store.
Oh, that's good. It was a long one, sure.
Why did you buy the derby hat? Did you really wear it?
Sure,
Was it
I
hat?
Kind of Al Smith.
darn right, it was the only one west of the Missouri River.
He bought it in Oskaloosa when Al
I
Smith
bought it.
was running for
The
president.
president. Yeah, that's when I bought it.
Al Smith wore a
I went
brown
down,
derby.
you know, it's hard for me to buy a hat. Because no hat fits me.
They used to be. Now you can get by them.
Rob's the same way.
And,
Needs to run a larger size.
yeah, I need a 7 3/4 about. And, a 7 1/2 is sits right on top of my head. So I had this derby hat, and I took it out to South Dakota. I would wear it very rarely. I wore it up to here once, when we were living in Rapid City. And there was a guy got drunk and ran his fist through the top of my hat.
Oh, no.
So I brought it home and I taped it up. And then I hung it on a fence post out in the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. I thought that was a good place to dispose of a derby hat. Somebody did make come along and brought the derby.
So you left it there.
Huh?
And you left it there.
I left it hanging on the fence post.
Oh, I remember when you wore riding pants a lot.
Oh, yeah. Well, I used to.
Oh, that looked good.
I used
See,
to.
Uncle Bill always looked so glamorous in his riding pants.
Those are relics of the cavalry. That's right.
Get up here.
Whatever where those are grown. If you live in the
California, Michigan. They grow some cherries in Michigan. Michigan's a big fruit state. Yes, as a matter of fact, I remember now, I've bought cherries in Michigan. Like this, right there where they were grown.
These are about a third bigger than this one.
Those are
Very good cherries.
I have a cherry tree in my backyard that if the kids will leave them alone, they'll get this ripe and good. Not this big though.
I have a letter from Thelma Smothers. After all of those storms they had in California, she said, told about the terrible, up into many millions of dollars lost in food out there because of that. And the slides, so many houses had slid down into the
What did you feel about that?
let's
see.
Los Angeles area?
It's more in the San Francisco area, I think, not too far from San Jose. San Carlos, I believe, is the name of the place. We have kept in contact over the years.
I think she's got the right place.
She came and spent the weekend with us at the ranch about a year before we went out there.
Who did?
I took her, Thelma's mother's. I took her over to Wambley,
I might leave it here unless you're going to bring me coffee.
out to the place where her dad had a farm. Of course, the building's all gone.
Where did they live? Around Wembley?
Out, well, over south of you know where Homer Hensel lived? About Homer married Gertrude Mendenhall. Over in that area, south of there.
She must have left there a long time ago, huh?
Oh, yes.
Was that her maiden name?
Her name was her name was Olson. You see, her father had this farm out east of Wambley, but she and her mother lived in Rapid City. They never moved out to the farm, except they'd come out in the summertime during vacation, but during school year, they'd go back to Rapid City. That's where she went to school.
Did she teach?
No, she used to come in and sing with us when we'd have special singing. Occasions where we'd sing on the program or something, she'd sing in our group. We got pretty well acquainted with her. That was when Leonard was there. Then she married Chester Smothers in Rapid City. He worked for one of the dairies up there, I think. And later on, they moved to California. After her father died, they moved out to California. Her mother also lived out there. And then her husband was killed when he was on his way to work one morning. He was walking across the street, the car hit him.
In California?
That was many years ago.
Pardon me, I have to go take a medication. I'm overdue on it.
So it was,
Did you know it was nice to be young once?
wasn't it nice? Kind of like George Bird.
We don't want to go through it again, but
That's right. Ever listen to George Burns?
yeah.
What is it he sings? Like to be 18 again?
I wouldn't want to be 18 again.
Well, Bill, your house there, your house, that little log house, was kind of a gathering place, wasn't it, for the teachers, the young teachers that come down, you play cards and bridge, I remember.
Oh, did you get married the first year you were out there?
Yeah, that's right. 40 years old. They were married in March and I came there in September. I remember the first time I ever saw you. You came in to talk.
I haven't had my prep roll, so
With your dad. Remember?
Yeah, there was a bunch of people used to eat there.
Where, at Clark's?
Yeah. She must have made the living for that outfit almost, didn't she? Old Bird didn't do it
Well,
almost,
he had a
did he?
garage.
He did quite a bit. He did a lot of
Repair.
plows and stuff
He
like that.
repaired, he did a lot of
He
repair
was
work.
kind of a half mechanic. He was not a good mechanic. But he could tinker around with it.
But she roomed and boarded the teachers,
Yeah.
usually, that didn't live there.
I think probably that if you could subtract the school's extent from whatever he made, she made more than he did.
Probably so.
He must have come in there with a little money. He built all those buildings. That garage was a fair-sized building, you know.
Did he build those?
I think so.
I don't know.
He owned them all.
See, he was a brother of Mrs. Arnold.
And then he had another brother there too, Clem.
I never knew Clem.
One thing about it is that there was always enough to eat in the place. She liked to cook, I think.
I think she was a real good cook. I remember when they had good eats there. Family style too, you know.
Yeah, that's right.
There was I don't know, some others eating there regular. I think there's quite a section at mealtime, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Quite a boat station too, you know.
Yeah. I remember the first time I ever saw George, he was drunk, which was pretty typical.
What?
He was drunk first time I ever saw him.
Oh.
He drove into Paducah to get, what's her name, the teacher.
Lois Cowan?
Lois. Yeah.
Lois Cowan.
It happened that I came out on the same train that Lois did.
Hmm?
I had met her on the train.
Oh?
The conductor told me that she was in the train. And we got off the train, walked over to the hotel, and we didn't have any room for two. They had room for, I mean, they didn't have, no, not a room for two, rooms for two.
Oh.
They had just room for one. So she stayed at the hotel, and I registered at the hotel, but they had a store building or something down the street with curtains. And I slept in there that night. And the next day, Lois had told me, I met her on the train. It was a Mexico that she was on. And Lois told me that he was coming in to get her the next day. So we waited around till Bert showed up, and Bert showed up with his normal condition, drunk. We got in the car and came out to Wambley. We got to the house. I met Mrs. Clark, rented a room there. And Bert said, why didn't we go up to the Indians? The Indians were having that dance and stuff. So I went up there and saw the Indians, and boy, the kids were just exactly where I wanted to be.
Oh, you did.
Yeah.
That was something new for
It
you.
was all new for me.
What's that?
I've never been around Indians.
No, I'll take it.
Well, you know, I'll
But that
keep
was
it
quite
if you want.
impressive, really. Impressive introduction.
I hauled a teacher out once. He was
I remember the first time I saw George, he was
Saw who?
Joe.
Somebody, I took a load of grain in, and somebody told me that the teacher there looking for a ride out,
Really?
and I suppose somebody saw me drive by, you know. I don't remember where she was now, whether she was in a hotel or where, but anyway, seemed like someone was with me. Two of us. We stopped and picked her up and hauled her up Wobbly.
Who was that?
No, it wasn't Lois, it must have been later.
Longley.
Might have been in grade school.
Longley.
Might have been in grade
It was
school.
Ethel's Ruth.
No, I don't know it was that late.
Halpin, was it Halpin? Alice
Oh,
Halpin?
yes, Ann Smith. Ann Smith was there.
Yeah.
Bill, you.
That's right, she was there.
It could have been her. Was she in high school or grade school?
No, high school.
High
I was thinking it might have been a grade school teacher.
No, she was in high school.
I don't remember who was teaching in
Good
grade
teacher.
school.
Very good teacher.
But she, didn't she die not too long after they left there? I think I heard
I
that
don't know. Oh, I don't
With Ann
know.
Joe, did you ever know about the time when I was in Mike Cole's class and Uncle Leonard was a friend of Mike Cole's and I was kept after school? I was supposed to write some word 500 times and Uncle Leonard came in there and I was the only one in the whole room, almost the whole building, and he said, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "Well, I'm supposed to write this sentence or whatever it was 500 times." And he said, "Now listen," he said, "I want you to do this." And he had a briefcase with him, I think, and he got some carbon paper out of it, and he put several sheets of paper with carbon in between. And I said, "Oh, I can't do that." He said, "I'll see that you don't get in trouble." And so he stood there while I wrote just whatever I needed to write, and he took his carbon paper back, and he took my papers, and we put them on his desk. I was about half scared. Well, Mike Cole acted to me like he was really angry about it, but I suppose he laughed at Uncle Leonard. I don't know.
Why did you get the 500 words in?
I don't know why. You know, I don't remember why. It wasn't something I did. It wasn't. It was maybe an obvious mistake I made. No, I think it was. Maybe it was spelling. Maybe it was spelling words. I don't remember.
Did do you any good?
I see. I don't remember, do I? No, I don't remember why. Whether it was a sentence, maybe I had to memorize something. I don't remember. I remember the Uncle Leonard coming and the real threat that I could get in trouble if I did what my uncle, who I always obeyed. You know, I was really kind of torn. And then I could see the humor in it, and you know, Uncle Leonard always presents that really well. So I did it. It was the talk of the town for a day or two. What the trick Uncle Leonard pulled on his friend Mike Cole.
Gee, that seems like a long time ago.
No, it was quite a while ago.
Joe, did you go to the Washington Day Ball, George Washington Day Ball, where Uncle Bill dressed up like,
George Washington.
was it George Washington?
And Bill and Esther were George and Martha Washington.
Oh, I didn't remember that. I remember the waistcoat you had.
You were dressed
February
up too.
22nd,
Where was that
1932.
in Wombly?
Wombly,
When was that, Uncle Bill?
1932.
It was a
George Washington was born in 1732.
Oh.
I don't remember, I suppose I did.
We danced, went over to the hall and danced the minuet.
You know, back there usually everybody went to everything.
I know it.
Almost, you know. Even the dances, you know. If you didn't go for any other reason, why you went to visit with some of the people that you knew.
Wasn't the ball in the store, the hall where they later had a grocery store?
Well, yeah,
Connor's Hall, yes.
That's where we had plays.
That's where I got the idea that pool halls were evil. Right?
Well,
Well, there were pool tables in the basement of that place, remember?
yeah, I know.
And
They are evil, but you know,
no, I don't think, we have a pool table in our basement.
Well, what, go on and tell the rest.
Well,
Why did you?
I can remember walking by there. I was probably told not to linger around there, I imagine. But I can remember walking down the sidewalk and hearing the pool balls hit. It sounded intriguing, and I never knew why that sound was coming up out of the basement. I always wondered what that was, and what was going on down there that I should stay away from. Maybe they had a little bootleg whiskey, I don't know. Beer.
when I was in college, there was a pool hall downtown that was most respectable one. That's where quite a bunch of college fellows lived there.
You should see the...
I can't see why people have such an aversion to pool.
That's why I enjoyed The Music Man so much. It was such a spoof on all those silly things.
They aren't all coming.
Uncle Bill, you should see the student union at Purdue University. All the billiard and pool tables they have there, row upon row upon row, and you know, young men enjoying their game. Well, you remember The Music Man?
Yeah.
Pool was one of the big things that was supposed to be so evil then. Remember?
Where is Purdue?
Lafayette, Indiana. It's down about 2 or 3 hours from Chicago, down from the tip of Lake Michigan.
It's at
Yes, Mother's been there. Lafayette.
West Lafayette, Indiana. In the west central, I believe, part of Indiana.
I never was any good at pool.
Beck is good. Beck is pretty good.
Knocked the balls around, but
Rawl was really
Paul was a
good.
pool player. He played a lot of pool as a kid because they lived in the hotel. They always had a pool table in the hotel, and he played traveling men would come in there and want to play pool, so if no one else was around, they'd say, come on, kid, let's have a game of pool. So we'd play pool.
He would be about Beck's age now,
About
wouldn't he?
Beck's age, right.
I
He liked
saw
to play pool.
you know who Willie Hoppy was? You know Joe? He was
Rod would know, I think.
a terrific shot. And what's the two big pool company, pool table company?
Brunswick. Brunswick?
That was one of the big companies, and maybe it was Brunswick. But he traveled around the country for them. And he'd play exhibition games, he'd play the best pool player in town, and stuff like that. And I saw him play. He came to us exclusively. And I met one of the guys from the college downtown. He said that Willie Hoppy was in such and such a pool hall, and I had this. And I went down and watched it. My golly, he did stuff with pool balls that you just couldn't imagine would be possible.
Did you see this one? Minnesota Flats?
No, I never did see him. There's another one that was...
I've seen him on television, and every time I mention Minnesota Fats to Rod, I think he brings up this man you're talking about.
Willie Hoppy.
Yes, that sounds very familiar to me.
Of course, that's more than 50 years ago.
Well, it would be when he was 7 or 8 years old that, see, his father was a lawyer and a justice of the peace, and his mother became ill when Rod was about 4, and so Rod and his older brother were just raised by housekeepers when they had one, and at other times just raised. Finally, they were put in orphanages when their father died. But so Rod knew a lot about, well, the circus wintered there and brought a lot of people to town that children wouldn't ordinarily meet or know about. And he learned early about men who hustled things like living from their card games and their pool games and the Cole brothers. Well, Cole Porter was from the town Rod grew up in, and a lot of wealth there, but the circus families too. And I can remember, I'm sure he's mentioned that name to me that you mentioned. In fact, Emmett Kelly has lived many years from there, and Rod went to school with Emmett Kelly, you know, the great clown Emmett Kelly.
Yeah.
His daughter was in Rod's class at school. I believe graduated from high school.
Now, do the Ringling brothers still farm out there?
Yes, they do. I think some lawyer owns that company now. No, they were just appearing a month or two ago in Chicago. I've always wanted to go to a Ringling Brothers performance. I never have.
You've never seen Ringling Brothers?
No, they've performed all around where I've lived, and I've never. I've gone to other circuses, but not Ringling. I read some interesting biographies or autobiographies of John Ringling North.
I saw old Buffalo Bill, the original. He had his show, too.
Yes, I vaguely
He traveled
remember.
around the country when he came to Oskaloosa. And he had, I didn't see the show. I saw the parade. There was a beautiful team of horses and carriage. And there was old Buffalo Bill with his white buckskin suit, with his white hat, white goatee, white mustache, white hair blowing in the breeze behind him, going down the street headed for it.
Even up in Northern California, which they came along the 1st of May, I think it was, and said there wouldn't be a drop of rain normally until next September or sometime. I don't remember the date. So it's been raining up there off and on ever since. Not a whole lot, but unusual. I see yesterday that, or day before, I forget which it was, it was over 100 in Boise, Idaho, which is a little bit odd. Situation in Phoenix that I get a kick out of. I don't know his name. He was the grandfather of the land fraud situation that you've no doubt heard about. And here about a year ago, the county attorney brought, I don't know, some 11 or 15 charges against him, criminal charges. Here last, in the meantime, he had a heart bypass. He's around 50 some, and has been in the hospital and sick. So about 2 weeks ago, he was got well enough to appear in court, and he apparently plea bargained, in which he pleaded guilty, or no contest, which is guilty, to all 15 counts of land fraud. And one of the plea bargaining clauses was that he'd be confined in his home under guard until sentence was passed. That would be the review of the case, and the judge would pass sentence eventually. Well, of course, the news people came out with the fact that it was costing a tremendous amount of money to keep him under guard at home. Nobody can see him. He's just the same as being in prison, except he's at home. And costing the county slugs of money. So the newspaper said, and people immediately rose up, a lot of them, and want to recall the district attorney. And last week, and a few days later, after the thing boiled up, he appeared on television and was amazed that people would be so riled up about his plea bargaining on this case, because the only provision they made was that he would be remain at home until the sentence was passed by the judge, under guard. And it does cost, well, it takes 6 men a day, and it is quite expensive. But he pointed out that had he not plea bargained and they carried the case forward, it had to be tried in some other, and courts had already ruled that it had to be tried some other place other than Phoenix, and that the cost of the trial would have probably run to at least $250,000, and his home confinement would probably only last for 2 weeks whenever the judge gets around to passing sentence and confinement. But one of the things that amused me was the fact that it came out about the time, I said a couple of months ago, I guess it was, about the time that Carter had canceled all the economically unfeasible projects of the government, dam projects. But in there was a area in China of farmers who needed water, and all the engineers, etc., economists in China had determined that setting up an irrigation project for this area was economically unfeasible. It just so happened that Chinese farmers in that area, I suppose a slug of them, didn't agree with the economic unfeasibility report. So they, I suppose 100,000 of them or so, grabbed shovels and picks and whatnot. They went out and constructed the thing themselves and got the water. And they're running the irrigation system. They're even using, they have in the irrigation ditches, they're using the water power there to generate electricity. It doesn't generate a heck of a lot, but it pumps a little water and so forth. Of course, compare that with the Central Arizona Project, which is a project to bring Colorado River water into the Central Arizona Basin. Well, you see that, I suppose the average labor on that is $15 an hour, because they get not only their scale pay, but it's in an isolated area, so they get several bucks an hour addition for being away from home. And of course, most of the projects are unfeasible, economically unfeasible, when you have to pay that kind of money out. But I was kind of that was quite a deal that Carter came out, and said that stuff should be economically feasible. If he carried that to an extreme end, about the only departments of government he would not abolish would be Forest Service, which sells timber, probably takes in enough money from that to be self-supporting. Bureau of Land Management might be self-supporting. Certainly IRS is self-supporting, but carrying that down to the final nub of economic feasibility, you'd abolish everything else, including Congress. Some question is whether Congress is economically feasible. Seeing some of the decisions by the courts, a person even wonders if they're economically feasible. I see by the morning paper where a court in California has thrown a case out of court, has reversed the lower court's decision, finding two men guilty of breaking an entry. And the reason was they were in this house tearing the place up, and the police entered without knocking, and I guess the owners of the house are away, and without declaring themselves, and arrested the men. There's no question that they were thievery. They threw it out because it is unlawful for the police department to enter a place without saying they're policemen and knocking at the door. I'm amazed. The truth of whether a person is guilty or innocent has nothing to do with the trials anymore, it seems to me. The big thing is, have their rights been violated? Has everything been done in accordance to Hoyle? I don't know. The guilt or innocence of a person has very little to do today with whether a person is found guilty or not. It's whether you've obeyed all the rules and regulations handed down established by law, presumably contained in the Constitution, and for the police department to enter a place without saying they're policemen and knocking at the door. I'm amazed. The truth of whether a person is guilty or innocent has nothing to do with the trials anymore, it seems to me. The big thing is, have their rights been violated? Has everything been done in accordance to Hoyle? I don't know. the guilt or innocence of a person has very little to do today with whether a person is found guilty or not. It's whether you've obeyed all the rules and regulations handed down established by law, presumably contained in the Constitution, and certainly, number one, what the courts ruled. That is the most important of all. I see that a judge in Wisconsin, Madison, I guess it was, has ruled that rape is only natural, and has released the